Interested in leveling up your Notion workspaces and dashboards with a dynamic card that can display key calculations and information across different databases? In this video, we'll be creating a task database and a dynamic card that will show you the date your tasks due today, tomorrow, and any overdue tasks. If you've been interested in diving deeper into Notion's formulas and relations, this tutorial could be perfect for you. If you find it useful, be sure to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell. Let's first start with an empty Notion page, and I'm going to title it Task Dashboard. The next step is going to be to go to the top right hand corner, 3 dots, and I'm going to turn on small text full width. I like to do this especially for dashboards because it gives me more space here to work with. The next step is going to be that you can add a cover photo if you'd like. I'm going to click change cover and then go to Unsplash for a huge stock image library. And here I'll just choose something with a mountain theme. And then I can reposition the picture. The next step is going to be to create 2 columns. So I'm going to have one column have the dynamic display card, and then the other column is going to be our task database. So I'm going to go ahead and type /column, and then I'll have 2 columns on this side. This side is going to be /database, a gallery view database, so that we can have our display cards. I'm going to do plus new empty database. And then if I hover here, I'll see the line that separates the 2 columns. I'll move that over to the left. And then here I'll do / and then database. And this time I'm going to choose a table view database for the tasks. And I'm going to again do plus new database. So we basically now have 2 empty databases, one in gallery view and one in table view. The first thing I'm going to do is to create the card that we're going to be using as the dynamic display card. So here I'm going to just title this dynamic card. And we're going to go ahead and hide the database title so that it's a bit cleaner. And I'm also going to rename this and put a pin here so that it's a little bit more minimal style. To do that, I have a trick where I just put a space here. So then I only have the icon showing here. The next step is going to be to create a card inside. Unlike other use cases of databases, in this case, we're only going to have one entry in here, which is going to be our display card. For this, we're also going to remove the image. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the settings, and then we're going to go to layout. And for the card preview, I'm going to put none. So now we just have the title here. Here you can have fun with it. I'm going to put hi Sarah, which is my name, and then I'll put a wave here so that it can kind of greet me every day and showcase my information. I'm also going to just go ahead and delete all of these properties so that we have a clean slate. And now we can get started with building out the card. So this card is just going to display our date today, our tasks that are due today, tomorrow, and any overdue tasks. So the first step I'm going to do is add a property. And for this one, I'm going to add a text property. And for here, I'm going to put your tasks due today, and then something like this. And then I'm going to put the same thing here, your tasks due today. And then I'm going to go ahead and bold this so that we have this as sort of like a heading to our actual formula that we're going to be adding today. I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this property. And then this time I'm going to rename this your task due tomorrow. And then I'm going to duplicate this again, and I'll put watch out for overdue tasks like this. And then now what I'm going to do is pretty much have something similar here. Your tasks due tomorrow. And then I'll put watch out for overdue tasks. And I'll also bold this. For this, you actually have quite a lot of text options. So you can also play around with how you want to display this kind of text here. And you can see all of the options here. So now we have our 3 lines here. Go ahead and display them. So I'm going to go to the settings and then go to property visibility and then turn all of these on. So now we can move this around. Your tasks due today, your tasks due tomorrow, watch out for overdue tasks. And now we can actually start building out formulas. So for here, I'm also going to add one property, which is going to be a date display. So I'm going to add now a formula. And for this formula, we don't even need another database to use this formula. So I'm going to put date display, and this is going to go at the top. And here we can start building out Notion formulas. So if you're new to formulas, the best way to learn is really just to start using it and trying to do things that you want to accomplish rather than just learning about all of these different kinds of formulas. So what we want to accomplish here is to have some text that says it's, for example, July 15th for our display card. So the first thing I'm going to do is that I wanted to say today is, and then display the date. To display text, we're going to add quotation marks like this. And then you can see that it's going to say today is here. Then I'm going to put a plus sign so that I can add more information. And then in this case, I want to showcase the date today. So that's going to be today. And if I click here, it's going to show today. So now it says today is at July 15, 2025, but I don't want it to be formatted this way. So the next thing I'm going to do is format date. And this allows me to have a lot of flexibility on how the date is formatted. So I'm going to do that and then put today inside. And then what we need is how we're going to format this. So I'm going to put a comma. So I wanted to do something like this where we see the month written out with the date and then a comma and then the year like this. So I'm going to press done, and now it says today is July 15, 2025. And once you have that date display done, then we can click out, and then now we can showcase that date display here and then move it to the top. So now we see, hi Sarah, today is July 15, 2025. So the next thing we can do is start working with our task database so that we can actually display the tasks due today, tomorrow, and any overdue tasks. So we're going to just minimize this for now and then start working on the task database. So this one is going to be our tasks. Whenever I create a new database, I like to actually add a sample entry so that I can work with it. So this one's going to be clean the backyard, and I'm going to add a property, and this property is going to be a status so that I can see if I've started it or not. Then the next one I'm going to do is to add a due date. So it already suggests me due date, but I'm going to go ahead and click here to find the date, and I'll rename this one due date. So now we have a due date, and I'm going to put that for today. And the next thing I'm going to do is add a relation over to this card here. So now it's important to remember what the name of this database was, and in this case I put dynamic card. So I'm going to go ahead and put the plus here and then add now a relation like this, and then I can choose what it's related to. In this case I want it to be related to the dynamic card. I'm going to click two-way relation so I can easily see where it's related to, add relation. So now I have my dynamic card. So in order to accomplish this dynamic card, every single new entry that goes into your database must be attached with this dynamic card. So in order to accomplish that, we're going to have to actually add a filter. So the filter is going to filter everything so that it contains this particular card, the Hi Sarah here. And then every single new page I add always has the card attached to it. So the part that makes this really confusing for some people is that you can easily accidentally create entries that aren't attached to the dynamic card, and then you'll start messing up your calculations. So make sure that this is correct here. And once you have that set up, you can actually just go ahead and hide this so you don't see it, but you just need to know that this is always attached to this card. So I'm also going to hide it here so it's not really confusing. And now we have due date, name, status, and it's attached to my dynamic card. So now what we can do is actually start working with the formulas because we have our basic task database over here. So I'm going to go ahead and also hide the tasks here so that we're not confused. And I'm going to go ahead and add the property, which is a formula. So we can click formula, and this one is going to be due today. And I'm going to move it under your tasks due today, and we can start building out this formula here. So for this formula, I wanted to display how many tasks are due today. To do that, I'm going to use my relational tasks here. And then what I'm going to do is to dot, and then I'm going to filter them out based on certain conditions. So the first thing I need to do is make sure that any task in there is not completed yet. So current.status does not equal done. So now we have cleaned the backyard, which is not done. Then I also need to check whether or not it is due today. So in that case, I need to actually add an and. So that means that it's going to check both. So current dot due date is equal to, and I'll do today. And then close the parentheses, and clean the backyard is still due today and it's not done. And then finally, I'm going to do dot length to calculate how many I have, and then done. So now I have due today 1. So just to test it out, I'm going to go ahead and add that display here, property visibility, due today. We're going to put it under your tasks due today. And then I'm going to now add a new page here. And let's say I need to call the doctor and the due date is on the 14th. The number hasn't changed. If I put the due date today, it's 2. And if I put this as done, it should also go back to 1. So everything is working properly here. The next thing I'm going to do is that it looks nicer if we have this as part of a text. So we want to add some text here. So I'm going to again add the plus sign so that we can add text. And then I'm going to put space, task, and then I'm going to close it with the parentheses and then done. So I can see your task due today, 2 tasks. Now we have a basic formula like this. So we can do the same for tasks due tomorrow and overdue tasks. So I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this one, duplicate property. I'm going to move it below your tasks due tomorrow. And instead of today, I'm going to put date add, and then I'm going to add 1 day. So this gets a little bit more tricky, but so what basically happens now is that I'm filtering all of the tasks and I'm checking if it's done and whether or not the due date is today plus 1 day. And then done. So now that's 0. I'm going to rename this due tomorrow. And then I'm going to add one more here, duplicate property. I'm going to move it under the watch out for overdue, and I'm going to rename this one overdue. So once I have that, I can go ahead and go here, and instead of due date add today 1 day, I'm going to delete this part, and all I have to do is check if the due date is less than today, and then done. So now I have 0 tasks overdue. I'm going to go ahead and adjust the property visibility. I'm going to show due tomorrow and overdue. So now we can check if this works. I'm going to, let's say, put the due date to the 11th. So now it should be overdue, which is correct. And then for tasks due tomorrow, let's say I put 16th, then I have 1 task here like this. And let's say if I put done, and if I put done, then it goes back to 0. So all of this is working great. I'm going to do one more thing, which is to add a few views. So in reality, if you were using this as a task manager, then you might want to add another view like this. I'm going to go ahead and filter this one so that the status is done. So we have a done filter. I'm going to rename this completed. And then for this one, I'm going to add a filter, which is that status is not started or in progress. And now we have incomplete here like this. So if I put it to done, it's going to get removed from my list here. So now our dynamic card is working great. And as you can see, there's a lot you can do here. You can add your own criteria to this, whether that's due next week or whatever you find useful for your needs to see. And I wanted to show you one more thing where you could even do more customization and more advanced things with this. So let's say that if it's 0, you want to add a custom message, then you could click here and we can add a custom message if this number is 0. So for that, I'm going to go ahead and use something called let so that it's easier to use. So I'm going to go ahead and do let, and then let is something where you can assign kind of variables to it. So this I'm going to do today, comma, and then this is what I want to assign to that due today, and then I'm going to put another comma, and then I can use that variable inside of my entire thing. So I have to actually put another parentheses here, and then I'm going to put here if due today equals 0. Then I want a custom displayed message. Congrats, no tasks today. And then if not, then I'm going to display due today plus this task. So as you can see, congrats, no tasks today. So if I were to assign it today, then I would have one task again. Once I clear that task, let's say it's due, congrats, no tasks today. You can even add some kind of emojis here. So let's say I want that party emoji and I want to put that in there. I can also do that like this. So congrats, no tasks today, task due tomorrow 1. So as you can see, you can do quite a lot here. I will share all of these formulas in the description too. So you can also copy and paste it and study what kinds of formulas are being used in each of these sections so that you can use it. One other thing to note is that this always has to be like this. So if you name your database something different, you have to watch out that you're using the correct database here. Thank you so much for watching. If you're interested in any free or premium Notion templates, as well as custom builds or coaching services, be sure to check the description below. Let me know if you have any questions or comments, and I hope to see you all in the next video.